friends, what's up? It's me, Hallie, and welcome back to my channel. First off, I am in my room back home, so the background is different. But yeah, today guys, I'm going to be talking to you about my paranormal experiences. I took a Twitter poll and asked if you guys wanted this in one long video or in 2 or more parts. And for the most part, you guys wanted it in multiple parts. So that is what we're going to be doing today. The first part of this is going to be stories from when I was younger. And then the second part will be more recent, like high school to now. I just like to start off by saying that if you are a skeptic, that's completely fine. But if you plan on leaving any rude comments about how my stories are fake or any of that kind of stuff, it's probably just best if you click out of the video and not watch. So I'm making this for people who actually are interested in things like this, just like I am. So let's just get right into this. First off, I would like to say that I am more of a spiritual person compared to a religious person. I greatly rely on my gut instinct and my feelings. I get feelings of people, of situations, good or bad feelings. I also feel like I'm greatly in tune with my senses. And I just like to say that although that I am open to paranormal encounters and experiences, I am a pretty rational person. I'm not going to automatically assume something was paranormal because a lot of the times it might not be paranormal. So, you know, let's just throwing that out there. One of the first stories that I'm going to be talking about is, it started back when I was very, very little, and for a huge chunk of my life, I lived in this house, kind of in the country, I guess, surrounded by farms and whatnot. But the house itself was not old at all. My dad had built it before I was born, and so I think it's kind of more the area. I don't know. I'm thinking it's the area because one of my good friends still lives on that road, and her house was even newer than my house, and she had a lot of paranormal experiences in her house as well. When I was little, my room was in the back of the house, and of course it was always the coldest room in the house, and you always hear that spirits like to communicate best with children because children are innocent and they have open minds. So I feel like that's why spirits and things like to communicate with little kids. For a certain period of time, as a very little kid, I would be woken up and everything on my bed, my sheets, my comforter, my pillows would be scattered across the room. Like something had just like ripped them off and thrown them across the room. And my mom told me that I would always go and wake her or my dad up, and I'd be pissed. Like I'd be so mad, and I would just tell them that they woke me up again. I wasn't scared. I wasn't confused. I was just mad. Like I knew who they were, and I knew that they were trying to wake me up. So one day we were taking family photos or sibling photos. My mom always liked to take sibling photos, you know, of like the matching white tees and the jeans, you know, like typical like childhood, am I right? Got them developed. And in one of the photos, over here above me is a mass of maybe just discoloration, who knows? But apparently I pointed to that and said, look, there they are. Just thinking about that makes like my eyes water a little because that is just, I can't even imagine what my mom, like how she felt. When I was a little bit older, I'm not quite sure how much older, still pretty young, I remember my brother and I, we would talk about this like ghost child that would sit on the end of our beds. And I can't remember if we just made this up kind of as an imaginary friend, or I can't really tell you, but for some reason I like can picture what she looked like in my head, which is really bizarre. And I don't know if that's just because as a kid I made up that image in my head, or if I did see a child. And then around the same time as this, a lot of my things would go missing, and then show up in a very obvious location. I remember things would go missing and I would have dreams of where they were, and I'd wake up and go find them because my dream told me where it was, and it would be there. And that was always pretty bizarre too. I don't know if that's anything to do with paranormal, but it's kind of freaky when that kind of stuff happens, you know? So next comes to when I'm just a bit older than my last story, and this is my UFO story. At this point, we didn't have cell phones. And if we did, they were not attached to our hips like they are today. This is still in the house in the country. And we had a big sliding glass door that faced out to our backyard, which was acres. It was like dusk time. So the sky wasn't pitch black, but it was getting pretty dark. And for some reason, I came out of my room, walked straight to the glass sliding door. And I look outside, and oh my god, this makes me like want to cry just thinking about this. It freaks me out so much, guys. We had like a line of pine trees in our backyard, and right above that is a floating disc with red lights around it. This is just what I can remember. It's so hard because it was so long ago. But I can tell something was there because the disc itself, the color of it was a contrast against the dark sky. It was like a light gray against the dark blue sky. And I'm like in shock. And I'm like, my brother's behind me like on the computer, and then my mom and dad are on the couch watching TV. And I'm like, guys, come over here, like, hurry, come over here. And they're like, you know, my brother's like, I'm playing a game, and then like my mom and dad are like, we're watching our show or whatever, and I'm like, no, you have to come over here, like, hurry, please, you know, I didn't know what to say. So eventually, I think my brother comes over, or my mom, and then they're like, oh my gosh, like, seriously, you guys have to come over here right now. We're like, what the hell is that? We walk out onto the porch, and you can hear it. You can hear a low humming. I'm getting goosebumps again. And it's moving so slowly, and it looks so low in the sky. We're all just in shock. I don't even know if we said anything. And like I said, at this time, we didn't have cell phones to go and like hurry up and grab and take a picture or videotape, but that was the last thing on our minds. It slowly starts to go over the horizon, and all of a sudden, it just spreads apart into like a bunch of small, like, little sections or like little lights, and just like zooms out over the horizon. After it spread apart, we were just kind of in shock, to be honest. I don't even know what we said. I think we were just kind of mind blown of what we just saw. And still, like, saying this again, it's like, it's so surreal to me. Like, I can't even believe that I did see that. So the last few stories that I'm going to tell you about are from around middle school, I believe. Around middle school, my parents got divorced, so my mom had her own home, and when I visited my dad, it was that same house that I've been talking about. So just some background information. Whenever I would go to my dad's house, it would be myself, my brother, who's the youngest of the two, and then my oldest brother lived there full time. And he worked, and his hours were kind of wonky, so he was in and out of the house at random periods of time. Of course, the first story I have, I was alone in the house, and surprisingly, it was daytime. Both of these stories were during the day. I was sitting at the computer desk, and when you're sitting there, your back is to the kitchen and the basement door. And my oldest brother lived in his bedroom was in the basement. I'm on the computer, and I hear my brother coming up the stairs to leave for work. So I turn around in my chair to, say goodbye to him, but he never came through the door. The sound that I heard was the exact same sound of him walking up the stairs from the basement. So that was one story that terrified me. In the basement, there was also the washer and dryer. So one day I'm home alone again. It's during the day. and I hear what sounds like when the washer or dryer goes off cycle and it like rumbles, you know. I went downstairs and just looked to see if, you know, I could rearrange the clothing, and sure enough, the washer and dryer were not on and there was no clothing in them. So I quickly went back upstairs and I just thought to myself, okay, that's bizarre. So we're just gonna like relax a little. And sure enough, it happened again. And to explain the sound to you, it literally sounded like someone was hitting the metal repeatedly. I remember just standing there, like listening to it to make sure that I wasn't just hearing things, to make sure that I wasn't going like nuts, you know? So I just kept hearing it over and over, and it terrified me so badly that I called my mom to come pick me up from my dad's house. So yeah, pretty much that house had always given me a very eerie feeling. There was times when I didn't feel scared and then I just felt normal, but there were times when I was very creeped out. So yeah, guys, that is part 1 of my paranormal stories. It doesn't stop there though. I'm definitely having a part 2. Make sure you hit the like button if you liked these stories, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye guys!